Yeah, and I think that's really cool that these all come, with that free app that people can use integrated into that. Because I think a lot of people might have some, confusion when using some of these different controllers. So yeah, just having it right on your phone seems pretty convenient. So the Raging Kale series, you got the Raging Kale 2 Plus and the Raging Kale 2. Kind of same story. What do we got with these two?
Yeah, so Raging Kale 2, Raging Kale 2 Plus, really the big difference. Both have the 120 diodes. The big difference between the 2 Plus is that red diode set. So the Raging Kale 2 is kind of your classic veg. You can do a lot of play with that bluer, CMH kind of style, lighting. Where the Kale 2 comes in, that almost turns that kale 2 into a flower full cycle light. So now that kale can produce all those reds, those end of the day reds, whatever you would need to do with our bigger lights. So it really does bring home what you can do with our lights to a hobbyist in a small tent.
And for people that may be new to the space, what exactly does that mean when it gives you access to those red lights? What is that for? What benefits does that provide?
Yeah, sure. So dig into the light science a little bit here, but the classic trope you always hear about that far red side is it puts the plants to sleep faster, right? Which is a simple way of us trying to explain the more complex way that these red lights drive the plants. But really, what you're doing is the far red light produces a shade effect to the cannabis plants because they're very shade sensitive, and a lot of them actually like that shade effect. It depends on the strain. Again, landrace versus bred or whatever genetics you're playing with. But what that red light does is it makes your photosynthesis more efficient, so you get this secondary electron excitement at the end of the day that'll keep those electrons kind of moving through the plant, keep them more excited, keep that photosynthesis moving. It's called the Emerson effect. I'm sure everybody's kind of heard of that in passing, but it's that secondary photo wavelength that's going to knock that up. So it's going to make you a little more efficient in plant growth. Also, at the end of the day, you can do just those single reds on, which is when you get to that put the plants to sleep faster part. And we've seen, and we actually just had a great study that came out, I think a week or two ago, specifically on far red and cannabis plants. And what you're seeing is better THC production. You're seeing better terpene production. You're seeing a slight knock in, finishing time where you can cut a few days off. So those reds really play with the morphology of these plants and how they're producing. And it's a great trial on the amount of time you expose the plant to far red at the end of the day, what adjustments you get. But as always with cannabis, our genetics are so varied. It's like if they tested OG Kush, I'm sure what's in my closet is different than what's in somebody else's. So it's very variable, but it's a fun tool to play with. Again, you're just back to being able to express everything that genetic can do where you may be stuck with a static light.